Hi, guys. Today I am starting with The Rescuer. We finish our zuppa, and Granny Torrelli places sliced oranges on 2 salad plates, and then she sprinkles olive oil and salt and pepper and parsley on top. Isn't that something, she says. The Prince Bailey coming to your rescue. Yes, I say. It was something. And I am thinking how I want to be the rescuer. I want to rescue Bailey. I want to fix him, give him new eyes, make everything easier for him. And Granny Torrelli, that mind reader, she knows I am thinking about Bailey. And she says, "So, Rosie, are you going to tell me about that Bailey? Why you are so mad at him today?" I get up and go to the Braille books, bring them back to the table. "Watch," I say, and I open a book and close my eyes and run my fingers over the raised bumps. And I read. I am still a little slow, but I read. And when I stop and open my eyes, Granny Torrelli is sitting there with her eyes sparkly, shiny, wet. "Oh, Rosie," she says, "you did it. That smart head of yours. It is like a miracle. Show me." And so I kneel beside her and I put her fingers on the page and let her feel the bumps, which are letters and words. "It's hard," I say. "You need to start with just a few letters." She hands the book back to me. "It's a miracle, Rosie. Bailey must be so proud." I close the book. "No," I say. "Bailey is not proud. Bailey is mad. That Bailey boy." And so I will tell her what I have been wanting to tell her all night about how it took me a whole year to learn the Braille in secret from one of my teachers at lunch every day, sneaking the books home, opening them at night in bed, wanting to be a surprise to everyone, but especially, most especially to Bailey. And today, after school, I went over to Bailey's, so excited to show him. I flopped on the couch, yakking away about this and that, and casually, oh so casually, I reached for one of his Braille books and I opened it. He was sitting on the floor, his back against my knees. He heard the book open. "What book is that?" he said. I told him. "One of mine?" he said. "Yes," I said. "Want me to read you a little bit?" He laughed. "Sure," he said. "Sure, you just go right ahead and read." He was feeling very smug, I could tell, so sure that I couldn't read this Braille book. I let my fingers move across the first line, and then I backed up and stared at the beginning. I'm sorry, I backed up and started at the beginning, reading aloud. "There is a planet where I often go. It is cool and calm." Bailey whipped around, put his hands out, found my hands on the book. He pushed my hands away and grabbed the book and ran his fingers over the page rapidly. "You cheated," he said. "You probably got the regular book and memorized the opening." He slammed the book shut. I grabbed the book from him. "I didn't cheat, Bailey. Listen." I opened the book again and read the whole first page, and as I was reading, it got very quiet, as if Bailey were not even breathing. And when I finished, I felt so proud and thought Bailey would be so happy, so proud. I looked up at Bailey, but Bailey was not happy, was not proud. He said, "You think you're pretty smart, don't you, Rosie?" "Yes," I said. "Well, get over yourself, Rosie." "What?" I said, "Get over yourself, Rosie." I felt as if all the blood in my body were pouring down, 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 right out the bottom of my feet. I got up, started for the door, expecting, hoping, wishing he would stop me, but he didn't stop me. I opened the door, stepped out onto the porch with no words in me, no breath in me, just a loud wail going on in my head, and slam! Just like that, Bailey slammed the door behind me as if I were nobody. Nobody, no pal, just a nuisance nobody. Why is the next chapter. Oh, Rosie, Granny Torrelli says. Why, I ask her. Why did Bailey say that mean thing to me and slam the door on me? Why? Granny Torrelli presses her knuckles on her cheeks and says, this is a tough one, Rosie. And then Granny Torrelli does a strange thing. She opens her hands and places them over her eyes, and I hear a little sound and see her chest moving up and down, and I can hardly bear it. Granny Torrelli is crying. And I get up and stand behind her, patting the top of her head, and I say, don't cry. Please don't cry. And I am feeling so miserable because I have made two people unhappy today, and I don't even know why or how. Granny Torrelli wipes her eyes and motions me to sit beside her. What did I say? I asked. Oh, Rosie, 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 you and Bailey, you are like me and Pardo, and you made me think about him. And so she tells me about the last day she saw Pardo. They were 16. She was going to America in a few days with her uncle. Pardo begged her not to go, but she wanted to go. America was everything. It sounded dazzling to her, full of everything, full of promise and excitement. She wanted Pardo to come. Her uncle would loan him the money for the boat fare, but Pardo said that was crazy. She should stay in Italy with her family, with him, and they would get married, and they would have children, and he would work, and she would raise the children and cook and clean and be the mama. And my Granny Torrelli told him she didn't want to cook and clean and be the mama. She wanted to go to America, and have her adventures. Pardo got mad at her and told her she was too full of herself, full of impossible dreams, full of crazy wishes. He told her, go then, go. And she was so angry with Pardo and went home that night and packed her one suitcase and did not leave her room until the day came when her uncle took her to America. And Pardo never wrote to her, and she never wrote to Pardo. And one day she got a letter from her sister saying that Pardo was untangling his black mangy dog Nero from the train tracks where his rope leash was stuck, and the train came, and that was the end of Pardo. He was squished. And so, Rosie, every day I am sorry I was so mad at Pardo. Sorry I didn't write to him. Sorry he didn't know how much I loved him. And we sit there, quiet. Granny is thinking about Pardo, and I am thinking about Bailey, and we are not eating our salad of oranges. The next chapter is in my head. I am thinking about Bailey and Pardo. I am wondering why Granny Torrelli didn't stay in Italy, but then she would have married Pardo and not my Grandpa Torrelli. And she wouldn't have had my mother, and my mother wouldn't have had me. Not this me. And I am wondering why Granny Torrelli never wrote to Pardo, and why Pardo never wrote to her, and why that still bothers Granny Torrelli now, after all these years. And she gives me an answer out of the air as if she knows my question. She says, Rosie, I was such a stubborn girl. Too stubborn to write a letter. too stubborn to say I was sorry. And here is the thing I learned. A friend like Pardo does not come along every day. She pokes at her oranges, shiny with olive oil and sprinkles. And then out of the air, I sensed something about Bailey and the Braille books. Until today, Bailey could do something that I could not. And he wanted that. And he needed that. It hits me, zap, just like that. Granny Torrelli, I say, let's go to Bailey's. Let's take some Zupa to Bailey and Carmelita. Granny Torrelli hops out of her chair. See, she says, Zupa for Bailey and Carmelita. She pulls out a plastic bowl, pours in some soup. Bread, too, she says, grabbing the loaf. Oranges, I say. See, oranges for Bailey and Carmelita. We zip around the kitchen, dash out the door with our Zupa and bread and oranges, and we slip across the lawn and up the steps and knock on the door. And suddenly, my heart is thumping like a little frog in my chest, because what if Bailey slams the door again? And what if Bailey is still mad? And what if Bailey doesn't want our Zupa and bread and oranges? The door opens. Carmelita opens the door, a big smile on her face when she sees Granny Torrelli. They hug and start chattering in Italian. Carmelita waves her hand toward the stairs. Bailey's up there, she says. Go on. She doesn't know about our fight, I think. I go up the stairs slowly, afraid. I don't want another door slammed in my face. Bailey must hear me coming because he stands in his doorway looking toward me. Bailey, I say, don't be mad at me. I am a stubborn Rosie, and I am full of myself, but I don't want you to be mad at me, and I will stop reading Braille and... Wait, he says, and he goes back into his room and returns with a blank piece of paper, which he hands to me. What? I say. I am thinking he is being mean, playing a mean joke, giving me a blank piece of paper. But then I look closer, and there are little bumps on it, and I run my fingers across it. There are just 2 words to read, and those 2 words are, I'm sorry. And I hug Bailey. I hug the living daylights out of that Bailey boy. And we do not talk about it. Not this day. Instead, we go downstairs and we sit at the table, me and Bailey and Granny Torrelli and Carmelita, and we eat more Zupa. Tutto. In the dark, Granny Torrelli and I slip back across the lawn with our empty bowls. Very, very good, Zupa, I say. See, Granny Torrelli says. She glances back at Bailey's house and then at me. Tutto va bene, Rosie? All is well. The Zupa that Granny Torrelli, that Bailey boy. I'm going to stop now because we are at our next section called pasta. So I will read that next time we get together.